Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Nerd Mode, this being a show where I introduce you to a series that you may or may not be aware of. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Netflix original series, The Punisher. Like always, this isn't a review, it's just me talking about a series that I really like that I recommend you check out for yourself. The Punisher is an action crime drama about Frank Castle, aka The Punisher. After learning that there is more to his family's death, Frank seeks revenge against all the people who had a part to play in it. But unfortunately for Frank, he soon discovers that there is a lot more at play here when it comes to his family. That ghosts from your past have a way of haunting you in ways he doesn't quite know. With this show that has many meanings, but obviously I'll kind of get into that a little bit later on. Kind of one of those is kind of the story elements that revolve around his old friends, Billy and Curtis. But obviously those are story elements I won't get too much into. Nevertheless, joined by his new and unwanted companion in his crusade, David, aka Micro. David's reasons for joining Frank is the fact is that their fates are kind of tied together, along with the fate of David's family. Obviously, spoiler reasons, won't get too much into that. All of this while trying to avoid Homeland Security, in particular one Homeland Security agent, Dina. Like David's, her story is weaved together with Frank's. He has the answers she seeks. In what way are all these character stories connected? What are the answers that Dina seeks? Well, watch the show and find out. If you are unaware, this series takes place after Frank's appearance in season 2 of Daredevil, which this whole series is kind of a spoiler for Daredevil season 2 if you haven't already seen it. But it's actually kind of interesting how this series kind of builds upon the story that Frank developed in season 2 of Daredevil. Without really going into spoilers, let's just say like I went into this series having my thoughts about how the season would play out, and then there were things that happened in the first episode that made me go like, oh, I thought this was all going to, okay, apparently not. Okay, watch the first few minutes of the first episode and you'll kind of understand what I mean by all that. Like I said, I didn't want to get too much into it for spoiler reasons. Also, I don't mean just watch the first few minutes of the first episode and that's it. Obviously, I mean watch the whole season. This show isn't just about the Punisher taking people down. It's also about getting to know more about who Frank Castle is, seeing him struggle with everything that he's done, in particular his time in the military, as well as everything that he's lost. Earlier, I mentioned him being haunted. One of those ways of him being haunted includes feeling like he failed his family. Most good thoughts and memories are plagued by nightmares and regret. Easily one of my favorite aspects of this show is the back and forth between David and Frank. Their dialogue and interactions are the best, especially when it comes to the first time that they met face to face. Quite the way to start off a healthy, trusting partnership. The show is very action-packed with a lot of good hand-to-hand fights as well as fights with weapons, you know, knives and guns, which is the Punisher, so that's all kind of to be expected. The series can be quite bloody and downright brutal in some cases. And then that's not even just talking about the action. There are just bits in the show to make you go, that's rough. Once again, it's the Punisher, so it kind of comes with the territory. An interesting thing that I didn't realize until someone else pointed out is that with the exception of 3 certain characters popping up, there are no other references to the other Netflix Marvel shows as well as the MCU as a whole. It's very standalone-ish, but I would assume that's by design. And speaking of all that, this is probably the most grounded superhero TV show that you will find. Across all superhero TV shows, but also amongst the whole MCU, that includes both the movies and the TV shows. If this show didn't have Marvel on it, or you didn't know ahead of time that the Punisher is part of the Marvel universe, you wouldn't think this was a superhero TV show. Just regular people, no super abilities, no magic or supernatural or science fictional stuff. The Punisher has been renewed for a 2nd season. At the time of me recording this, no date has been confirmed, but I would assume that it'd be after all the new seasons of the other Netflix Marvel shows. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.